Well, hello there. Welcome to the second episode of Getting to Know You with a Twist. And in episode 2, we got TJ. And let's introduce yourself, TJ. What made you want to become a YouTuber?
Yeah, certainly. So first off, Orbiting Alliance, thank you guys for inviting me onto the stream.
You're
Um,
welcome.
Hello everyone. My name is TJ Billups. I am a YouTuber. I've been doing this for about a good 3 years now. So mostly I review both movies and TV shows on my platform, predominantly like the newest of theatrical release movies, and I'll do a few TV shows here and there, but mostly new movies. Again, I've been doing this for about 3 years. I think what led me to it was my passion and my love for cinema. I wanted to just essentially throw my hat in the ring and see what I can do. Give my thoughts and feelings about movies, recommend it to people, tell people, hey, stay far away from this movie, or at least go check this one out. So I just wanted to just, see what it's all about, put myself out there and just, share the world with my love for movies. That's pretty
Cool.
much
So
it.
doing it for 3 years, and so how many subscribers have you got now? Or is that something you're not too interested in?
As of now, it's at 960. So I
Wow.
believe I will hit 1,000. Oh, thank you. I believe I will hit 1,000 before the end of the year. So that's my main goal right now. But
Yeah.
really, I'm kind of doing this for the love of the game. Really.
What's been your most viewed video so far?
Okay. This is gonna be weird. It's actually my review of Meg 2 with Jason
Oh,
Statham.
okay.
I
Yeah.
don't know why that video kicked off, but it did. So I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
So,
And
but
what
yeah,
would
I
be?
was pretty. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, what's your favorite video then that you've done? The
My
one you're most proud
favorite
of?
video. Ooh, there's a few good videos I really like. I think one of my favorite videos, or like my favorite reviews as a whole. Hmm. I think definitely my review of Neza 2. I don't know if you guys have seen that one.
No, I haven't
No, I
seen it.
Oh,
don't
it was
think
a
so.
Chinese animated film came out last year, cracked over what? Over $1 billion at the box. Actually, I'm sorry, it's over $2 billion now at the
I think
box
it's,
Oh,
I
office.
think it was Zach's favorite movie when we did our end of year awards.
Yeah, it was incredible stuff, man. Well, that review was pretty good. My review of Sinners and also my review of Thunderbolts. I actually like that the way I was
Yeah.
able to construct that video. Those are some good jams.
Okay. Do you want to ask any
Yeah,
more YouTube related questions, Jay? Because the bulk of our questions are more about taste in film and TV. So before we get into
sure.
that part,
what has been your thing that you have learned the most and you feel like you have been your favorite part about being in the YouTube community, good and bad?
Hmm. I think definitely one of the biggest strong suits is community. Like
Yes.
being surrounded by a bunch of like-minded individuals who have a true passion for cinema, because I have some friends in real life who they appreciate it, but they're not as like super deep in the rabbit hole compared to me. There's movies that I've seen that they have never even heard of, right? So it's kind of hard to talk about those movies to someone who hasn't seen it, let alone has no interest in it. But I think the community, just was like a place where I feel like I can be me, share my love, my passion, or even my distaste for certain films, right? But I know everyone's entitled to liking what they like, to each their own. But that definitely has been one of the biggest strong suits. I guess one of the cons you could say is the competition, because we all know YouTube is an extremely competitive market. So with what we're doing, like we review movies, like I review movies, you guys review movies, so because there's like a lot of other platforms that are bigger than us and have more of a, I guess you would say, a more bigger audience, it's kind of hard for the little guy to get his name on the billboard, if you will. So that's definitely has been one of like the hardest things. But I mean, at the end of the day, as long as we're doing it, we're here, we're like trying to build community, make a name for ourselves. As long as we're actually putting in the time and effort to do it, that's all to me. That's a win, you
yeah,
know. So that's definitely the hardest part when it comes to like being a YouTuber, especially with like what we're doing. So that's my answer.
yeah, it's hard to know what's going to take off and become popular. As you said, your Meg 2 video is popular, and you probably question why compared to other things, but and then how the
Mhm.
algorithm works. I know you you get a little bit popular and suddenly you could get massively popular. It can just multiply so quickly overnight. So you just got to keep at it, because you never know which video is going to be the one that's going to go from 1,000 subscribers to 1,000,000 subscribers.
100%. 100%.
So, what is a YouTube video that you know is popular, but you don't understand why people like so much, like trailer reactions, or what is the sort of video that you don't see why people don't like, but you kind of think, why do people like it so much?
I think for me, like, I always believe that, everyone's entitled to liking what they like, to each their own. Because, for example, like, I don't like rom-coms. I'm not a fan of it. If I can avoid it, I will. But even if it's super duper popular, I'm like, okay, I might check it out, but I won't put any time and resources into reviewing that, But there are people, for example, what was that one movie that came out a couple years ago? It was Anyone But You with Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell. I actually ended up liking the movie, but I was like, okay, would I watch it again? Probably not, but for the time, I actually did appreciate it. And I noticed that there were reviews on YouTube where they were like taking off, and it's like, oh man, I think that movie came out in 2022, so I don't think I didn't start YouTube yet at the time. But even then, even if I did start YouTube around that time, I don't know if I would have reviewed that per se, because I just don't really care for rom-coms. But I know that that's kind of the beauty with cinema. Like, there's something for everyone. There's sci-fi, action, comedy, heist movies. So it's not like one specific, I guess, genre. It's like a very broad spectrum. So I think that's like the beauty of it, because everyone's gonna like what they like. Some people may love movies that I don't like, or I may love movies that they may not like. But again, that's just kind of the beauty of cinema. There's something for everyone,
I think for me, a type of video, to answer Jacob's question, that comes to mind, I'm not a big fan of trailer reactions. I don't mind people that kind of break down a trailer after, but those videos where people sit there and like react live as it's going on, I've never really understood why that's popular. But that's just something that doesn't interest me.
That's fair.
But I don't mind when someone breaks it down and goes, "Oh, did you see that hidden thing in that trailer?" Or that, I think this, like, I don't mind that, but it's the watching people react to something I've always found a really weird trend, but it is a popular trend.
I mean, I think what it is, because like maybe some people, let's say some people probably saw the finale of Stranger Things and they wanted to know, like, what do other people think of it? Let's see their live reaction, right? So for some people, that is entertaining. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I think for me, why I would never do trailer reactions is because I don't feel like putting in the time and energy into like doing that. You know what I mean? But unless it's something that's like major, but even then, I'm probably not going to put any time or resource into a trailer reaction, right? But I think one of the biggest things, and I'm drawing a blank right now, my mind gets to rambling sometimes, but I think in the case of trailer reactions, some people just want to see like, oh, what did this person think? Does he agree with me? XYZ, just get their thoughts on it. So that's how I look at it as far as trailer reactions. So I'm not against it, but you won't catch me doing one.
We haven't done one in a while, but I really like trailer episode recaps. Now thinking about it, I'm now starting to rewatch, like getting into season 2 of Fallout. I have to go back and rewatch a recap of season 1, and I thought, it would have been nice to have that recap, especially if it's a show or a movie that your friends don't watch. Having that someone else you can converse with, like you said, community. You can go, oh yeah, that's them talking about the episode. Oh yeah, that's right. Like. Yeah, I think episode recaps are a cool thing. Maybe we should revisit those.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Should we get into the nitty-gritty and the questions about you and your cinema?
Ooh, let's do it.
So the first question is, what is the first movie you remember seeing at the cinemas?
It actually was Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire. I'll never forget. My dad took me my dad took me to the cinemas because, I was a kid. How old was I? That movie came out in 2004. No, Spider-Man 2 came out in 2000 and was it 2004? I think it was 2004. I think it was 2004. But I remember that I was a kid, and then I remember my eyes was like, I was blown away when I saw it. I was like, wow! Like, not only was like on the big screen, but seeing one of my favorite superheroes just doing XYZ, it was just awesome. It was like mind blowing. It was like unbelievably satisfying as a kid. So that was the first movie I remember, and yeah, it was awesome. How about you guys?
For me at the cinemas, I would have loved it if it was yours, but it was actually We Were Soldiers, what's a lot more gory than your movie.
Oh man.
Yeah, my dad took me to see that movie when I was 6, and it's probably not, sorry, 8. It's probably not a movie for 8-year-olds. We Were Soldiers, very
Yeah.
gruesome, and I think that's why I'm not as like seeing blood and guts. That's probably why I'm a little bit more morbid and kind of used to it. But I think your movie is definitely a lot better than my movie.
And for me, I know this wasn't the first movie I've seen. I couldn't tell you what it was, but this is the earliest memory of a movie. It was a movie called Cats vs. Dogs. Came out in 2001. It's like a comedy of
It sounds familiar.
cats and dogs could talk and conspire against each other and had some kind of war going on. But yeah, I remember that's the earliest movie I remember going to the cinemas. But that came out in 2001, so I was 9. So I feel like I would have been to the movies before then. So that's the earliest. What is the first movie you remember falling in love watching? Or even like a movie you remember being obsessed with when you're a kid or something.
Oh man. Ooh. I gotta think. Okay. From what I remember, I'm still in my childhood era, but I believe you guys remember the movie Rango?
Yeah.
With Johnny Depp. Yeah, that I remember seeing that. That was another movie that my dad took me to the cinemas. That was in 2011, I believe. And I think for me, I was just blown away because it is an animated movie, but I loved it because it was basically a Western, but with animals, but with that whole little, how do you say that adult grit to it, you know what I mean? And I was like, what, 11 and 12 when that movie came out? And I was just like amazed. I loved it. Like the technology behind it, the making of it, the storyline, the characters. I said, yeah, this is what movies are all about. And come to find out, Gore Verbinski directed that movie. At the time, I wasn't really paying attention to like, who were directors. But then after a little bit, shortly after that time, I said, oh, that guy directed that. So that was kind of a movie that really solidified that, yeah, I love movies. I'm a cinema guy. So oh man, I loved it. I loved it.
If you could only watch one movie for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I'm gonna go with the Batman, the one with directed by Matt Reeves. Yeah, that movie, that is probably one of the best Batman movies like ever made. Period. Like that is being true to the character. Like Batman is a detective. That movie really honed in on that detectiveness. I know that's not a phrase, but I'm making it up. But it was awesome. That movie really, it kind of changed my perspective on some things in life, but in a good way. But there's nothing better than walking out of a theater and you come out a whole new person, and that's kind of the effect the Batman had on me.
Do you feel like you chose that movie because it does well also as a superhero movie, but it does well in other genres as a 7S sort of movie? Like it covers not just being a superhero fan, but also like a different genre.
Well, it's got lots of twists in it. There's the detective element. There's like even if you had no interest in Batman, the movie could appeal to you. You don't really, it doesn't play up too much on the superhero-ness of it. It's very much just a cop movie almost at times.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, the movie, it works in so many ways. Like from a filmmaking standpoint, the film is just incredible, right? So again, from like an editing standpoint, sound, music, design, costume, production, it all works. And again, even if, like you said, even if you don't like superheroes, you can still love the story, the whole detective story behind this film, and that's what makes it special. So yeah, I love it, man.
Yeah, we both love that. As a massive Batman fan, I wasn't looking forward to it because I thought, for me, once Christian Bale had been Batman, I thought there's no point anymore, and I was very hypocritical of it and like skeptical. But then when I saw it, I think I like it more than any of the Nolan ones now. I actually think it's my favorite Batman by a long shot.
Indeed.
I'm in the same boat.
Who would you like the villain to be in the Batman 2?
Personally, I would like it to be a villain that we haven't seen yet on the big screen. So at one point before the DCU was, rebuilt, right? I would have liked it to be Clayface, but it looks like that's not going to be the case. So they could go with some more deeper cut characters and bring in the Court of Owls, or at least have the front runner be like the Mad Hatter, like characters who we
Yeah.
really haven't seen like on the big screen in the Batman universe.
I
Well,
personally like Batman the
yeah,
most when it's non superpower heroes. Like, and I like that's why I
non-fantastical.
think like the Joker's cool. He doesn't have like superpowers. He's just diabolical, or like it's probably going to be likely the Penguin because of the show and it's built on. But something in that like that vein, like some kind of as you're right, like a deep cut, like not your typical super like villain that people would know of unless you were a
That's
Batman
what they
fan.
did for the Riddler.
And I think that would be really, really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
But there's so many. Like, it could be the Calendar Man. It could be there's so many little ones.
Anyone.
But something like that. But then they run the risk of I don't know if they care, but the casual fan, they go, I've never heard of that person. Where everyone's heard of the Riddler.
I think if they bring in like a new villain, I think it would get more people more invested, because maybe I'm in my own little bubble, but I would argue, the character Magic from like the X-Men, I would argue she's way more popular now compared to like 6 years ago. And I think that's due to like Marvel Rivals, because I don't know if you guys played that game,
Yes,
online multiplayer. Yeah, it's basically a hero shooter. I think that game has really brought a lot of popularity, not only towards the Marvel brand, but really towards like certain more deep cut characters. So Magic being more popular now, I think, a lot of people are more interested in her. I mean, she's in like what, Fortnite now, because Fortnite bringing in everyone. But I think if the Batman Part 2 brings in a character or focus on a more deeper cut characters, it would make them a lot more popular. And eventually they could go mainstream. So
well, they could literally go through any of the Arkham games and kind of look at the characters and that. There's just so many good villains in the Arkham game.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
What is a movie that you like but you find embarrassing to admit? So whether because you think that it doesn't suit your personality, your friends give you slack for it, or you just like, people hate this movie, but I think it's great. Like,
I gotta think. What is a movie that other people don't like, but I do like?
So, like an example, like when Jake and I were talking about is, I think the Barbie movie's really good, but like, I don't know if that's embarrassing to say that you like Barbie, but I thought the Barbie movie was good.
I wouldn't say that's embarrassing. No.
Or I think
anyone can really like Barbie.
I really like some of the really cheesy Adam Sandler movies that people think are horrible. I find that, like I Love You Man. I think no, it's That's My Boy. I think that's my favorite Adam Sandler film almost, and most people think it's horrible. So just there's some examples of things that you might think that you're embarrassed to admit that you like, or it's unpopular to like.
If I had to think of one, I'm trying to think of any movies that I saw recently. You know what? Okay, I got one movie. But I think people liked it. But I mean, even if someone said they didn't like it, I'd be like, okay, well, I still liked it. It was the movie Bottoms that came out in 2023, I believe.
Yeah,
2023. Yeah, because from the trailer, I thought it was gonna be like, one of them like kind of like a gay romance comedy movie. But it's funny because I just said earlier I don't like rom-coms, but because of the cast and who they had in it, it had me interested. And then I walked out like, okay, that was the complete opposite of what I thought it was going to be. Like, the movie is flat out hilarious. It's kind of it has a bit of, I guess you could argue it's somewhat of a love letter to like those earlier 90s comedies.
It's like a spoof film, really.
It kind of is.
It's like a scary movie, or like Not Another Teen Movie type spoof film.
Yeah, that's probably the perfect way to put it, Ed. But I thought it was hilarious. I loved it.
I got told by people to watch it. It'd be funny. I'm really into spoof films, and I didn't. I don't think I laughed at it once. It upset me because I thought it was going to be really good. But everyone I've said, they disagree. Everyone thinks it's great, but I for some reason, even though it was right down my alley, I didn't like it. And I'm like a big fan of Rachel Sennott too, so I was a bit disappointed. But maybe I need to revisit it.
I don't know. That movie had me.
I think because I didn't realize it was going to be a spoof too. When I watched, I'm like, what the hell is this? This is ridiculous. I think I generally thought it was going to be some kind of funny rom-com, like you said, some kind of like, like gay romance movie, but it wasn't.
Yeah, the trailer was very misleading, but in some cases it works, but it worked for me, so I was cool with it.
Okay, what would be your ideal acting team up? So any movie, it doesn't matter what the genre is, but maybe like 2 or 3 actors that is your dream team to be in a film together.
Okay, I got one. This may be a bit of a, you know what? I think this is good. The more I think about it, I would say Michael B. Jordan and Lakeith Stanfield. I have a feeling they would make some really good shit together. I genuinely believe it. I mean, we all know they're both incredibly talented actors. You know, I know Michael B. Jordan. He's really more of the serious actor, right? Like more drama focused. But I think he can do comedy. I think he could really do a good comedy movie. And with someone like someone who can like on that level, like Lakeith Stanfield, he's not new to comedy. He can do drama and comedy. But I would love to see Michael B. Jordan do more comedy with someone who can help bring him to that level. So I would say those two for sure. And they're two of my favorite actors ever. So
good choice.
Yeah. I personally went with one when we were talking about it. It's pretty odd. Like they're in plenty of movies, but I like the Matt Damon Ben Affleck combo. I just think they work really well together. But we've seen that, so we know it's tried and tested. They work well together. But
for sure, man.
Right. Would you rather live in a world of superheroes and villains or a universe of monsters, kind of like King Kong, Godzilla? As a civilian, you don't have superpowers in this. Which one would you rather? The fear of pending monsters or the fear of like Thanos kind of thing?
You know, I mean, that's kind of a tough one because both universes are hell. So I would, if I had to pick, I would say the world with superheroes and supervillains because at least there's some people there to, I guess, protect us and save us from like these monstrosities and whatnot. But to like something like Godzilla and Kong, like the U.S. military can't do nothing against that. You have to like, there's nothing you can do. But at least if we have like Iron Man or Cap, there's like, okay, at least we got some help, right? But I would not want to live in that world. Put me somewhere where it's like I live on like a very rural farm in the middle, like away from everyone, right? But I would say superheroes and villains world. So that's me.
Nah, that's fair.
That's a good choice as well.
If your life was a movie, what would the title be?
Ooh, that's a good one. I gotta think on that one. If my life was a movie, what would be the title? Okay. I mean, you know what? Okay, I got one. It's kind of funny. I would say, "What am I doing?" That would be the name. Like, it will be a flat out comedy. Like, there's a lot of stuff that happens in my life where it's like it unintentionally happens, but it's so funny looking back at it. Yeah. So it's like, what am I doing? Because sometimes I find myself in situations where I'm like, what am I doing? Like, that's literally the joke right there. So yeah, that's my title.
It'd be a comedy.
And who would you get? Who would you want to be starring as you in your comedy movie?
I would say definitely Lakeith Stanfield because I feel like we should like given like how he presents himself and like things that he like believes in and things that he loves when it comes to cinema. I'm like, I see eye to eye with that guy, so I would cast him to play me. Plus, it'll be the funniest thing ever.
Okay, next question. Who do you believe is the most influential director on your taste in movies?
Well, for me, I can't bring it down to just one. I have like a variety, but if I have to pick, I'm gonna break it down to 3. I would say for me, it's definitely Spike Lee, Christopher Nolan, and Denis Villeneuve. I think, and there's so many other directors, but those 3, I think if I had to bring it down to just 3, I would say those 3 directors for sure. I mean, I love their movies. I grew up watching them. So go ahead. I'm sorry. What was the question?
What is it about those 3 that made it that was it their vision in movies that you like about them, or what was it about those 3 that inspired you to choose them?
I think for me, for those 3, like those directors, they are not afraid to push the boundaries when it comes to filmmaking and just, the overall art when it comes to cinema. They're not afraid to try new things. They're not afraid to like, push storytelling to a whole new, a new infinity, if you will, right? So I think they really have made a name for themselves within the industry. Like they are, to me, they are household names. Like if you see one of those guys like Denis Villeneuve, Chris Nolan, Spike Lee, Martin Scorsese, people will pop out, right? Because you could argue some of them have made rather not so great films, but you cannot deny their impact and their legacy. And that's the beauty. They all have left behind a legacy. In fact, their legacy is still building out to this day.
Okay.
So yeah.
Sorry, I was just looking up who Lakeith Stanfield is. Now Stanfield, I now know who that is.
Yeah.
I just couldn't put a face to the name. I was just like, oh yeah, he's from Atlanta. I was like, he's so good in Atlanta.
Incredible show.
Okay, next question. Favorite movie franchise?
Favorite movie franchise. For me, I would say it's a tie between the MCU and also the Scream franchise. Now, both franchises, they've had their ups and downs with their films and whatnot, but because I essentially grew up watching these movies, well, Scream, it didn't come until like much later. I didn't start watching the Scream movies until like late in my high school years, but I grew up until, but still, they were a big part of my teen years, right? MCU, I remember I've been watching them since 2008 when they first kicked off, and I'm loving it. I love both. I mean, both, of course, they both have their flaws. In fact, I wasn't the biggest fan of the latest Scream movie, Scream 7, and the MCU. They've had their ups and downs, pre-Endgame, post-Endgame, but because both franchises are so successful and they have been a pivotal role, they played a pivotal part in my childhood and my love for cinema. I if they put out a new project, I'm gonna be there. That's just how it is.
If you had to narrow it down with the MCU, what would be your favorite like sub franchise within that? Like, whether it's the Iron Man movies, the Thor movies, or
I definitely love the Guardian movies for sure. I think that is one of like the best trilogies, not just in the MCU, but just in general, period. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Iron Man trilogy. If anything, I was more of a fan of Iron Man 1 than the other two films. But for me, the Avengers films, to me, all the Avengers movies have been great. Like, Avengers, Age of Ultron, Infinity War, Endgame, they all have been great. Hopefully Doomsday keeps that hot streak going. But yeah, I am looking forward to like the future of the MCU, see how it goes, what changes can be made, and to see how we go forward. Because it looks like they're going to focus more on the X-Men, which I'm pretty excited for.
Nothing wrong with that. I'm glad I found a fellow fan of Scream. I've been trying to convince Jacob to see it. It's up there with my favorite franchises because I keep saying to Jacob, it's kind of good because it's not that good. You know what I mean? Like each movie has its flaws, but slashers can be that way. They don't need to be great. They don't need to be perfect. They don't even really need to be that realistic. They exist and they're entertaining. But I keep trying to explain to him how like meta it is, the fact that within Scream they have the stab movies and it's kind of a parody on itself, and it's just unless you're like a fan, it's hard to explain to someone how layered and cool it actually is for a slasher film compared to a lot of other movies. Like I compare it to like Friday the 13th or something, and I'm just like, that doesn't make sense. How's this guy still alive? It's like Scream just makes sense. It's a different villain just trying to different killer trying to replicate what's happened in the movies prior almost every time.
Pretty much.
And some kind of link to Cindy. Like, I just think it's always cool, but I'm just glad they keep making them.
If you had to choose between a Scream movie and a Marvel movie and they came out hypothetically on the same day, which one would you go to? Or would you try and make it to both of them on the same day?
Knowing me, I would try and see both films on the same day. Like I can handle a double feature, and sometimes, in some cases, a triple feature. But I feel like if I had to pick one before the other, I feel like I would pick a Marvel movie and then go do the Scream movie because I just love superhero films. I love superheroes, the superhero culture. Like that's my jam.
So when Doomsday and Dune 3 is coming out, are you going to do the same thing for those two movies?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yep, I'll be there because I have a feeling maybe Doomsday, not Doomsday, Doom 3. I have a feeling that one may get pushed forward or pushed back. But if they still commit to like the same day, I'm gonna see both films on the same day. I will clear my whole schedule and make it work.
6 hours of watching excellent movies.
Yep, 6 hours of peak. Oh yeah.
Yeah. What draws you to a movie? Like, is it like what's the most important thing to draws you to? Let's say a new movie that's not part of a franchise you've never heard of before. What's going to attract you to it? Is it the actors, the director? Is it the trailer? Is it like what makes a movie appeal to you?
I think for me, it's a part of it is like the director, the cast, and also like what is like, what story are they trying to convey, right? Ooh, excuse me. You know, like one thing I like about some trailers, like if you can get me interested without spoiling the entire story, that alone gets me invested. And you have a great cast, great director, like I'll tune in just for that alone. Now, there's no guarantee I'll like the project, but hey, I'll tap in, So yeah, mainly
It's
those are really
interesting
the
now
main
'cause
factors that pull me in.
I used to think like trailers when I saw a good trailer that if the trailer was good, I thought, oh, the movie's going to be pretty good. But I've been fooled too many times now that it's very easy to make a movie look good in a trailer. Like there's an art to it, and they do it so easily. And then I started to think, well, it's more about the actor. If I see, Leo's in it, it's going to be a good film. Or I see such and such is in it, which again is not proven a winning a formula every time anymore. I'm starting now to lean towards directors of the safe bet. If you like a director, there's a good chance that the movies they make are going to follow the same pattern of formula, and then you can kind of bank on that safer. Because not saying good directors always make good movies, but a lot of actors can take up passion projects or do things for a paycheck. Where directors, I feel like good directors
they have a vision.
Well, yeah, they don't have that same face. Like, if Brad Pitt makes a bad movie, he's still Brad Pitt. Someone will go, oh, well, we need this pretty face in our next movie. But if you're a director and really make a flop, people might go, yeah, I don't think we can bank on you anymore. We need to get the next young person coming up. So I'm starting to lean toward directors are my safe bet to what draws me to a movie.
Yeah, can't get mad at that.
Would you rather give up movies or TV shows for the rest of your life?
Ooh. I think I would have to give up TV shows. And the reason why I don't say movies is because with movies, obviously I know times have changed, but now you go see them like at the cinema. Like the surround sound, the giant screen, you cannot replicate that at home unless you're like a billionaire, but you're not, right? Most of us were not, right? So you can't beat the cinematic going experience. It is beyond ethereal, right? With TV shows, TV shows are awesome. I love TV. We all love TV, but movies, they're made for the big screen. Like you can't replicate that.
Yeah, and I guess you can pump them out a lot quicker. And if you don't like one movie, you can move to the next. Where TV shows, you could be invested for 3 seasons, and the 4th season turns you off. You're like, why'd I waste my time with the first 3? Yeah, it's not a bad point.
And also, it's the theater experience. Like you said, with your dad, it's about enjoying the movie, but also having someone there with you. What with a TV show, someone else, you might have to watch something by yourself. It's different reasons for liking something. So movies, I can see why you chose that.
Yeah.
Would you rather see the same actors in every movie for the rest of your life, or different actors in the same movie for the rest of your life?
Ooh. The same actor for them.
So let's say the cast of Fast and the Furious in every movie forever, or new actors making the Fast and the Furious forever, as an example.
Ooh. I think for me, I would definitely. I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. Wow, I can't even talk. I'm going to go with different actors, but the same movie, and the reason being is because I believe that obviously every actor has their own approach to a certain project, right? So someone could bring something different compared to this actor, or they could do a certain line delivery different than this other actor. But if it's the same person every single time, I'm probably going to get tired of it real soon.
It'd be interesting to see. I guess movies have been rebooted, but if they made a movie where they did 3 versions of it with different directors and different actors with the same script, and be like, and see how different it is to show the impact of actors and directors have on a film. Go, this is the same film done in 3, even if it was just like a mini film, like 5 minutes, just to show how different the same project can look from a different lens or with different actors. That'd be a cool experiment.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I would be on board for that.
Yeah, like find a 5-minute movie, but like all-star cast, but do it like 5 or 6 different ways and show people that this is how important acting is and directing, that this is the same thing seen in different ways.
Exactly.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, you gun to your head from by a stranger, and you've got to recommend them one movie, and if they like it, you live, but if they don't, you don't live. You don't know anything about them. You got one chance. You just got to pick a movie quickly to recommend them and hope they like it. What do you pick?
Oh, The Batman.
Yeah.
Easily. Like, yeah, if you don't like that movie, I don't know.
Something
kill me.
Hey, man. I guess you're not vengeance.
There's no correct answer. I just always funny think what people would go. Do you go like, I know a movie that's like rated one of the best ever. Like you pick like Shawshank Redemption or something, or The Godfather, or do you pick something that you just generally like and just hope that they feel the same way? It's just it's so interesting.
Exactly.
Moving to shows. What is a show you could put on in the background and never get sick of?
So you know what's actually funny with that? So for me personally, I don't like playing like certain like shows in the background because like if I'm putting on something, I want to give it my full attention. But if it's something that like I'm just playing for that, like if I'm at a party and we want something playing on the background, I'll probably put on like Family Guy or The Simpsons because I feel like those are kind of like just shows you can casually turn on and watch and not really miss any important parts of the detail or really any important details that affect the later seasons. You know what I mean? Or maybe Family Guy,
they're not. Yeah, they just kind of have funny bits in it. So even if you only see a 5-minute part, you could laugh at it.
Probably one of those shows.
Really follow too much order. Something like South Park's usually tied to politics or pop culture. So if you don't get the reference, you may be like, I don't find that funny. Or it's
right.
Well, then on top of that, what would be a movie? What is a TV show that you could watch on repeat and pay attention to?
A TV show I can watch on repeat. There's a couple actually. So believe it or not, it is The Boys and The Office. For some reason, I think I didn't start watching The Office until like 2022, and then I finished it. It took me almost a year to finish it. Then I finally finished it. I said, "Wow, I actually enjoyed that show quite more often than I thought I would." And The Boys is just again superhero stuff. That's my gimmick. That's my thing. I love The Boys. I mean, I feel bittersweet that it's ending, but I believe all good things have to come to an end. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. But those are shows I can just turn on and be totally fine.
I think the thing is with The Boys, as much I love it too, but you'd probably rather it end in a
satisfying.
It's satisfying than to
Correct.
Drag on and become bad.
Yep.
So I'm not too unhappy about that. They obviously have the spin-offs and who else they might continue to make more spin-offs outside of Gen V. So I just think you'd rather it end satisfyingly than to keep pushing on and pushing on. But yeah, Office the same. I think I only started watching that 2 or 3 years ago and binged it, and I thought, this is pretty good. Like I can see why I can see why this show is very popular.
What is it about The Office compared to other comedies that makes you like you can continue from wherever that you enjoy going back to? Is it the storyline or the actors, or what is it about it that you like over other comedies?
I think for me, definitely kind of like, a couple things. Well, the actors, of course, like I feel like any episode you can kind of just jump in and then still enjoy it. You can't, maybe not the later seasons, but I feel like you could really almost jump, at least for the earlier seasons, you can kind of jump into almost any episode and still understand what's happening and still have a good time watching it. But also, I think it's quite very relatable because I think, me, myself, along with a bunch of other people I've interacted with in real life and whatnot, a lot of people have office jobs. So seeing like that office culture be parried and made fun of is kind of a sweet feeling. You know what I mean? So I think it definitely is very relatable for like a lot of people. So that's kind of why I rock with it. Also, it's just flat out hilarious.
And out of all the characters in The Office, which one do you see yourself as, or which one do you kind of go, oh, I get that person?
Definitely Stanley. Stanley's is like, look, man, I'm just here to do my job, not be bothered. Don't care about certain things. It's like, he's just like me for real. So that's kind of why I rock with Stanley the most. But I love all the characters for sure.
Have you happened to seen the Australian Office?
It's called The Paper, I think, right?
Maybe. I think
spinoff.
here it's just called The Office, but it might be in other countries they renamed it that. But
Okay.
no, because they are still a paper company. You're right. I'm not sure, but people don't like it. I actually, as a fan of The Office, found it quite funny, but I don't know if that's because you need to be Australian to get the humor. But I think having a female as the main character, like Steve Carell's character, I thought it kind of worked, and she came across really goofy like him, and I enjoyed it. So if you haven't seen it, maybe watch an episode and see what you think. But I think it kind of captured the comedy that was in the American Office. I haven't seen the British one, so I can't comment on that. But
right. I guess I'll have to tap in.
Yeah, I don't know if they're making another season, but the first one was kind of funny, and it was the whole concept of everyone was working from home because of COVID, and now they've had to return to the office and
dealing with that.
And they're going to shut down the office because, like in the office, one of the Dunder Mifflin's offices is going to close because of whatever reason, and they're about to close it unless she can convince everyone to start working from the office instead of home. And it's kind of funny because you've got to try and convince people to come to work when they have the option to work from home. Like, why would anyone want to do that? So it's about her trying to convince them that office life is fun and come in and we're going to have parties and we're going to do all these cool things. Yeah, it's quite funny. I thought it worked well.
Oh man, I gotta check it out then.
Okay, this is a big question. What is the best movie of all time? Not necessarily your favorite, but a movie you think is the highest quality movie you've ever seen, or the best made movie ever.
That definitely is a subjective question for sure, but if I had to pick one movie, I'm going to go and say Interstellar. That's one of those movies I don't see how quite literally anyone could hate it. Great story, great actors, just all around. And it had a great payoff too. So, but Interstellar, it was beautiful to look at on the big screen. I genuinely don't see how anyone could hate Interstellar. And the music too, marvelous.
Still never seen it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've never seen it.
It's an amazing movie. I would highly recommend it.
Do you think that's the sort of movie, Interstellar, that doesn't need a sequel because we're in the stages that most things get sequels? Would you like them just to leave it alone and keep it as a one and done sort of thing? Or would you like them to make a sequel?
In the case of Interstellar, I think it should be a one and done. I don't think there's any more to tell with the story. I think we should just leave it as it is. That's kind of, and I love movies that are like that. Movies that they don't need a sequel or a prequel, just kind of like a one-off standalone project. Boom, that's the end of it, right? And for what you would like to come after, you can leave that up to speculation. But I don't think we need anything. We don't need to milk a franchise or turn something into a franchise when it's unnecessary. Because some things are just better off left alone.
Yeah, that's a good answer and good point.
What was your movie you picked again, Jacob, the other day? I forgot.
I can't remember.
Yeah. What would you pick?
I might go like Inception. I like sort of movies that make your brain think, and I think Interstellar's kind of the case of Inception. It's a grand movie that doesn't need to be touched again, and it makes you think, with the spinning top, were they in the different dimension, or was it like the ending doesn't need to be touched again?
Yeah, it's a good movie.
What was your choice?
Mine was Titanic. I just think mainly how they made it impresses me so much. Like, they just don't. Nowadays, they would just do special effects, but I just blew me away how they made Titanic. Obviously, the actors in it were fantastic. And I'm a sucker for something that's based on true story. So I think that the fact that, yes, the Titanic was real, but the story of Jack and that wasn't, but so many people would think that was real. That like the movie was so good that people would think that whole made up story actually happened. And I just think that's pretty cool that a movie is so good that people forget that it's a movie. Like almost like the Mandela effect. Like I just think that blows me away how good Titanic is.
The beauty of cinema.
Do you think Hollywood has ran out of new ideas, and what has caused that?
I would say Hollywood. I would say, well, I feel like that's been the case for a while now, where Hollywood has run out of ideas because most of the movies that come out, they're kind of sequels, prequels, reboots, which aren't necessarily a bad thing, but at some point, it gets to a point where it's like, why does this movie of all movies need a sequel? In some cases, it does work. In other cases, it's like this was a quick, cash grab. Do I think Hollywood has run out of ideas completely? I wouldn't say not completely, but I feel like there have been, I guess, some cases where you could argue they are a little bit creatively bankrupt, right? What has caused this? I think, well, you could argue it's due to multiple factors, but if I had to pick one thing that I believe, I think some studios are afraid to take risk, right? Now, because when you take a risk on a movie, or we're talking like a whole new IP, bringing in actors that people may or may not have ever heard of, a smaller budget, or maybe, excuse me, or you're talking, or the story is like very niche, right? Because in some cases it could be successful, in other cases it may not, right? But I think that's kind of one thing that I think one thing that it is important to bring into this conversation about that was like, I think folks need to separate the difference between like, the actual quality of the film and the box office performance, because box office, that comes down to like the interest and like the popularity of a project. But reviews, that's kind of more of like the quality of the film. And I don't think those two necessarily correlate with one another. Like something could be very popular, but some people may not be a fan of the quality. Like there are people who do not like the Avatar movies, but they're $1 billion, but it's a what? A $3 billion it's a $3 billion franchise. So it's like people like these movies, or at least they're very invested in them. Now, as far as the quality, that comes down to just, your own personal opinion or the reviews. But in fact, even Avatar, The Way of Water, that was a huge risk. I mean, 13 years after, what was it? I think it was 13 years. 13 years after the first film came out, no one knew what was going to happen. It could have been success, or we know it was success, but it could have been a failure. It could have been, right? But I think a lot of studios are just afraid to take risks because, there's money lost when it comes to risk. But like it's kind of like a high risk, high reward type situation. You know what I mean? And some studios, they either are not in a position to take a high risk, or they just don't want to because they're afraid of there may be like a low reward in the end. So from my little ramble, I would say that in some cases, Hollywood kind of is creatively bankrupt. But I think one of the biggest factors to that is that they're just afraid of taking risk.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's definitely creative people out there, people that have ideas. It's just people don't want to make their films. Studios want to, they want to make money. They want to guarantee they're going to make money. So they go with the easy option. And that's why I'm a big fan of A24, because they're willing to make some of these more out there movies. And I'm hoping other studios do that, but they just seem to be interested in trying to buy each other, whether they're trying to buy Warner Brothers or buy Netflix or buy Paramount. They're all trying to just buy each other's properties instead of come up with new properties. Because you think 100%. Of movies that would have came out early 2000s, 90s, 80s, like some of those comedies. If someone tried to bring that idea now to a studio, they would get laughed at. Like Adam Sandler wouldn't have had a career. Like there's so many comedians that when they brought out these crazy ideas, like, I don't know, like a movie like The Nutty Professor, like that wouldn't get made today. People would be like, what do you mean? What is this? Like where they're willing to take risk and they're going, oh, well, that's funny. Like people will laugh at that. Like, I don't know. Just like, I know they play it far too safe. So I don't think they're not short of ideas. They're short of people that are willing to take a risk. Like you said.
Yep. It's really a mix of both, really. But yeah, I think we just need to take more creative risk. That's really it.
The problem is also, too, when they do take creative risks, some people choose, because movies are expensive to go to.
Yeah, that's
people like, is it between this new movie or do I go see Avatar 3? So they go, oh, well, go see Avatar 3. I'll play it safe. So they end up getting smashed for box office by these, big
Safer
IPs.
movies.
100%.
If you could have any actor's career, what would it be and why? Or actor, actress.
Any actor's career. There's a lot of people I could think of. I'm gonna go and say Denzel Washington, only because A, he's been in the game for decades, and B, given how much of a range the actor has and how respected he is in the industry, and how this man is a 2-time Academy Award winning actor, and I think he has over 20 nominations. So this is a very high caliber actor who's been in the game for decades. He's highly respected, people love him, and he's very wise for sure. So if I had to pick one actor, it would most certainly be him.
And what's your favorite movie with Denzel Washington? Is it Training Day? Is it Remember the Titans? Which one is it?
I think for me, because he's given us a lot of incredible performances, but I think for me, I definitely love Malcolm X. I think that's one of my personal favorite films, not just from him, but also just from Spike Lee in general. So yeah, definitely Malcolm X for me.
That's a great choice. I love Denzel. Okay, this might be the same answer, but who do you think is the greatest actor or actress of all time?
For greatest actor, I kind of got to roll with Denzel Washington. But if I had to pick actress, there's a lot. It's kind of hard. Who's the greatest actress of all time? There's so many actresses. It's kind of hard to pick. I don't know if I have an answer right now. I have to really think hard, but I'm gonna stick with just like Denzel Washington being my go-to great actor of all time.
That's fair.
I find it really hard to pick my favorite actress. I don't know why it is, but I almost struggle to think of names sometimes, I don't know if maybe it's because in cinema generally the female is not the lead, so you don't notice them that often, or I don't know. I generally struggle to think of who, and I don't know. It's a hard one. If you could make any movie tomorrow, what would it be? So, like, pitch an idea of a movie you got in mind. It could be your own movie, the one about your own life, or like.
I definitely would make.
You'd like to make if we gave you $1 billion.
I think I would make a movie about my life. I think it would definitely be my life because I feel like there's a lot of funny things that have happened in my life. I think I've met a lot of great people who have taught me things, wisdom. I would make it kind of a coming of age story. You know what I mean? But like with a whole lot of heart, comedy, and just like a real feel good film. You know what I mean? So I would definitely invest into me if I had to. So I would do that. I think that'd probably be my best bet. Sometimes the best bet is investing in yourself.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, what'd you make, Jacob?
I would probably make maybe like a sporting movie like F1 or like Champions, kind of a feel good. I don't know what the sport would be, but I like those sort of like feel good sporting movies like those.
Okay, right on.
I reckon I would, even though it's a bit silly. I reckon I'd like to continue on with the Fantastic Beast franchise.
Okay.
Considering they stopped making them, I'd like to continue. I actually don't. I think it got prematurely cut, and I still think there's a lot of love for Harry Potter, and I think the Hogwarts Legacy games have helped since then. I reckon that there could be an appetite to revisit those.
Good choice.
Yeah, I think Johnny Depp going through court probably kind of caused a few issues with that, but I just still think there's an appetite to finish off that franchise. What is a movie that you think is due for a reboot or a remake?
A movie that is due for a reboot,
or it could be a sequel, a movie that's finished that like made a long time ago. And what do you think is due for it to come back into the spotlight?
Yeah, I think what's the movie that
prior to last year I would have said Happy Gilmore, but we've already got it. So
yeah, okay. This may be an unpopular opinion, but I think we're kind of overdue for a sequel to Bullet Train, or at least like a prequel that revolves around like oh god, what are their names? Well, Tangerine and Lemon. I think those were the two characters. Like something more from this world, because that world is way too. There's a lot they could do with it.
Yeah,
that movie was awesome.
I love that. Strangely, when I revisited it, I didn't like it. I loved it the first time, and then when I watched the second, I was like, "Oh, this wasn't as good as I thought." Like, I think maybe I just like put stuff in my mind, but I still would recommend it to people. I just wouldn't recommend watching it twice.
What would you like the story to be about Lemons and his brother? Would you like it to be what like a prequel to what they were doing, like as hitmen, or when they were children? What would you like their prequel to be about?
I would like it to be about like, like them going on like essentially doing like when they were becoming hitman, going on missions, assassination missions and whatnot, kind of like their chemistry, because their chemistry was way too good, right? So I would love to see more of those two. But even though this is kind of one thing I kind of don't like, giving like certain characters a prequel movie or a prequel series, knowing that they're currently dead, like in the main timeline, or at least like in the most current of the timeline. Kind of like Black Widow. It's like the movie came way too late, like the character's gone, so it's kind of like, what's the point?
You know what's going to happen.
Yeah, but that's kind of the other unfortunate thing. But I think their chemistry is way too good. I would love to see more, but that's kind of the other downside. Like one of them's gone, so.
And would you like to have the Thomas inkling for Lemons that we get to learn why he loves Thomas so much?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, definitely. Because Brian Tyree Henry, he's an actor that has, again, he also has incredible range. He's also just, I think one of the most underrated and more talented actors like in Hollywood. And he's great at comedy. He's great at drama. Like he can really pull it off.
Oh, that'd be interesting. I'd like to see that. This is the last of the scheduled questions, but Jacob might have some more. What is a video game you'd like to see become a movie? Or a show? So we've seen a few, like The Last of Us, Fallout most recently. Like, what's something that you'd like to see come a movie? Or a show?
Something that became a movie. A game that I played. Actually, I think. I'm trying to. I gotta think hard on that one. Hold on. What is a game? You know what? I got one. If they were to make a movie on Expedition 33, I don't know if you guys played that game that came out last year. No. It's really kind of a hardcore RPG game. It's, one of the best games that came. Not only is it one of the best games of last year, but it's one of the best games, period. It won Game of the Year at the Game Awards last year in December. I would highly recommend it. But I think if they were to make a movie, I would be there day one. The characters, the world, the atmosphere, the storyline, like they honestly, they really could make a movie out of that because it's just so majestic and fantastical. Like it would cost a lot of money, but it could reel in a lot of bigger profits.
It's something they should do more of. I know there's always the risk of upsetting the game fans, but you've also already got fans locked in. Like we saw the streamer who made the Iron Lung movie, and like he's made money back on it, like through a passion project. Like there's definitely an appetite for, like, I think Iron Lung's a fairly boring game, but the fact that they turned it into a movie and it's worked, and I just think there's a lot of potential there. I think sometimes games are more creative, or they have such a creative license opposed to movies that it's kind of a way of testing to see if someone likes something before you invest all the money into a movie.
Right. And also like with video games, there's a lot. I would argue there's a lot more of creative freedom when it comes to video games compared to like movies or TV shows.
Yeah.
So that's the other downside. And also, well, no, I think it's just like you can get away with more in a video game compared to like a movie. So there's that. But as far as Expedition 33, I could see a world where they can make a movie or a TV show. I could see it working. But they would need that HBO money.
I said I'd like to see them make a movie about Red Dead Redemption, either the first or second game or both. I don't mind. Actually, I'd rather a show than a movie. I just think people love the Wild Wild West. I think, shows like Yellowstone have proved that there's an appetite for that. I think it itself has a really cool story. I just think it could work. I'm just surprised Rockstar hasn't tried to sell the rights to that, because they bought out 2 games and 15 plus years. Like, it's not like they're sweating on, they have all these property, like all these things in the works that they couldn't try and get a movie going at the same time.
Right.
Or GTA, but I guess GTA would be kind of any kind of gangster.
Training Day.
It'd be like
Yeah,
any kind of
any
gangster movie, but maybe just adding the property of saying like the IP that this is the GTA movie or something, then people are going to go see it because it's already got that kind of street cred.
Oh yeah,
What is it?
for sure.
What is the director, or who would you like to be in the movie or the video game that you chose?
I'm torn between two directors,
Okay.
either Guillermo del Toro or Denis Villeneuve, because those two directors, they know how to do world building. Like they know how to create a world and just bring it to life. So it would have to come down to one of those two. But ooh, yeah, it's got to be one of those two. It's kind of hard for me to pick just one.
That's good choice. Who would you like to be the main character?
The main character. Ooh, there's a lot of people it could be. I'm trying to think. A guy, I can't remember his name. Gosh, what is his name? There is one actor. He recently passed away. I can't remember his name. And his what was it? He passed away. I think he had cancer. What was it?
Is he an old guy or a younger guy or?
No, he was like in his early 40s. He recently passed away due to cancer. I can't remember his name, but him as the main character, I think he could really do that. But that's unfortunate. He passed away earlier this year. God, what was his name?
I'm trying to think. There's the guy from Grey's Anatomy that passed away, but
now it's killing me. I have to look it up. It's drawing a blank. Oh my god. It's gonna
like Vanderbeek, the guy from Dawson's Creek. No, James Vanderbeek.
Yes, that's him. Yep. James Vanderbeek. Yep, that's who it is. I'm like, I know it's at the tip of my tongue. He would be great for the main character, but unfortunately he passed. But
what's the premise of the game? Like, what would make it a good movie?
So not only is like the world just extremely like massive and impressive, but I think what it is, right? It's about these people. I'm trying to remember because I still haven't finished the game because it's a long piece. It's like what 50 plus hours, but
wow.
It's these people that go on an expedition to essentially save the world, right? So they have to like every time they go on an expedition, essentially like they're essentially risking their lives because they're going to die for saving the world from imminent doom. But there's a lot of moving parts. It's kind of hard for me to explain it like in a simplified version.
It's like
but it's kind of more of like, hey, we have to go in, not necessarily space. It's kind of more of like, I wouldn't even call it. Well, you could argue it has a bit of science fiction elements, but it really is kind of more of like fantasy than anything.
Yeah. Okay.
But I would check it out.
Okay, I will.
Because it's hard to explain it in just one simplified. Because there's so much that happens in the story.
Okay, I'll have to look it up. I'm always intrigued to find new games. Is it like open world game? Is it? You said it's quite big, or?
Well, it's not. Well, it's not open world. It's kind of more of just like RPG, like role playing.
Yeah, okay.
Not necessarily open world. Kind of more of like somewhat linear, but not really. It's kind of like that.
Okay.
It's really about breaking. Really, it's this fantasy game about breaking the cycle of death, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. More questions, Jacob, or are you starting to wrap this up?
From the Marvel movies that have recently come out, from the bunch, what's ones that you have enjoyed and not enjoyed? So I guess like Spider-Man No Way Home, The Thunderbolts, Deadpool, Wolverine, Captain America Brave New World. What's ones that you thought you were happy with when you finished the experience and weren't happy with?
Well, I'll say this. The MCU definitely has had its ups and downs post Endgame, but they've also had their ups and downs pre Endgame. But I would argue the ups and downs have been more noticeable or at least more repetitive post Endgame. But I think with Phase 5, they have been, well, near the end. I think right now we're in Phase 6. I think Fantastic Four was the first project of Phase 6. So as far as like post Endgame projects, I think the movies that I loved the most was Shang-Chi, Spider-Man No Way Home, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, and also Loki. I love that Loki show. That's probably one of my favorite projects post Endgame, like ever, and also one of my favorite projects in the MCU period. But I've also seen some projects that I wasn't the biggest fan of. I wasn't the biggest fan of She-Hulk, Miss Marvel. I liked the character more than the show. Um, WandaVision was good, but I didn't like the finale. Brave New World,
That's
I think overall the film was decent. Like it's enjoyable, but I don't think it's anything like extravagant or amazing. It's entertaining, but I don't think it's a movie you need to rush to go see, or at least, well, it's no longer in theaters. But at the time, I would have said, yeah, you don't need to rush to go see it, but it's not as bad because I think people were blowing that film out of proportion. Um, th- yeah, those really like the biggest shows that I like the most, or biggest MCU projects. I did not like the Marvels. I wanted to like it, but I just was not a fan of that. Um, Hawkeye was Hawkeye was okay. There's been a lot of shows I'm kind of like, it's either good or it's kind of like see for yourself, you know.
Do you feel like they wasted the potential of the shows? Because I feel like they could have developed more about like the characters. Like we were meant to get a War Machine show, we never got that. Like instead of having a show about She-Hulk and this
Mm-hmm.
Marvel, they could have had more better shows, or do you think that's kind of they decided to do too much content and that was the inevitability of having like too many shows because of the streaming service?
I think. Well, we know the biggest problem with the MC post Endgame is that whomever was running Disney at the time, I think it was what was his name, Bob Chapek. Now it's Bob Iger again.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was more focused on like quantity over quality, right?
yeah,
Because like at this point, we should have had a Shang-Chi 2. We should have
yeah,
had really a Doctor Strange 3. We should have had two Fantastic Four movies by now. And the problem is we were just kind of putting out content, but not only was it overwhelming, but a lot of these projects did not lead to anything bigger. You know what I mean? Which is nothing wrong per se, but if all of them don't connect to the bigger picture of the multiverse saga, it's kind of like, what are we doing? Right now, if they've tried to make it more of like the Star Wars universe, where there's multiple different stories that aren't necessarily tied in together. They're kind of just different stories across the galaxy. That's cool. But with the MCU, it was supposed to be like, given how things were set up, it was supposed to be a setup for something bigger. Like everything in the Infinity Saga, everything led to like Endgame. In
Thanos.
here, I don't know what the correlation was. Like the multiverse saga, it had a lot of potential, but it just kind of blew up. It kind of bit off more than it could chew. And a lot of these projects, because the MCU is going to get rebooted come Secret Wars next year, so a lot of these characters we're probably not going to see them again, which is unfortunate because we could have had more time to build them out, flesh them out. They could have been more likable, but they didn't have enough time to breathe. That's the other thing too.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
it's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Would you like them to develop Kane as more of a villain, or are you someone that's more excited to see Doctor Doom replace him, I guess?
I think they should have continued to build out Kang. I know there was issues with Jonathan Majors and whatnot, but I feel like the character, they first of all, the character should never be introduced in Ant Man Quantumania. The guy
Yeah,
lost to
that
an army of
makes
ants. Now, if you were going to introduce him in Ant Man 3, you gotta set the stakes high. Because from the
yeah,
trailer, I'm thinking, is Kang going to kill the entire like Pym family? That would have set the standards for who Kang is and what the
yes.
Avengers have coming up in the multiverse. I'm like, okay, we're really laying out the foundation. But no, it went nowhere. The guy lost to ants, and now we're never going to see him ever again. And I guess they wrapped it up in Loki that yeah, we took out all the Kang variants, so whatever. I It's unfortunate. I think Kang was going to be the face, and then they bring in Doctor Doom, but I don't know, man. It is what it is. I hate to see it. I hate to see how things went down because there was potential, but they just didn't commit, or with what they did, ruin kind of the impact of the character or what he could have had or what he could have been.
Have you ever seen Kane in Earth's Mightiest Heroes? Because I feel like he was done a lot better in that show, and he had potential in live action, but they didn't do it as good of a job in live action as they did in that show.
So I actually have not seen that show, so I can't speak on it.
It's definitely worth watching. Like, if you want to see the character to his full potential and actually see, like, if they did the version of him from Earth's Mightiest Heroes, he wouldn't have lost to the ants at all because it's actually what the character is.
Yeah, I'll have to tap into the show. Yeah, I again, I
It's
haven't
on
seen it, so I
Disney
can't speak.
Plus.
Oh, it is okay. Perfect.
Yeah, it has 2 seasons, but it was meant to get a third, but they cancelled it because the Marvel movie came out, and then they decided to change the cast to what came out in the movie. Because in Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Wasp and Hank Pym are actually in the team of the Avengers.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So they changed it around, and the animation, everything isn't as good to Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Right.
But the Fantastic Four in it, like it's a like the best comic book show I've seen.
Oh, right on, man. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Not when it comes to live action, like that's Loki and probably Devil, but when it comes to like animation, it's very it's worth watching.
Okay, for sure. Yeah. There's a lot of Marvel shows that I want to, or like, shows outside the MCU that I want to tune into, just expand my knowledge of just Marvel and lore and all that stuff. But I'm so behind on so many shows. So, but yeah,
Yes.
man.
Okay, I think we've finished our questions. We've kept you for long enough. I think it is late where you are. For us, it's only not even 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so it's pretty early.
Oh man. Yeah, it's like what, pushing 11 over here.
Yeah.
Oh man. But
Okay, well,
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say we really appreciate you coming
Thank you.
on. Thank you for answering our questions. I'm sure we will chat again soon and collaborate on something in the future.
Oh, for sure. And thank you guys once again for just bringing me on the stream. This was awesome. I really thank y'all for asking me the questions because I had to think real hard on a few of them. But this was awesome. I'm glad we made it work. And yeah, guys, thank you.
All right,
Thank
You're
you all.
welcome.
Okay, you want to sign us off, Jacob?
Well, hope you enjoyed the episode 2 for getting to know you with a twist. See you in episode 3 and let the force be with you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye, guys.
Yeah.